The alarm rang through the station like a screaming bird. Red lights flashed on every wall. People ran from their rooms, still rubbing sleep from their eyes. Was already awake. She had been sitting in the command center, drinking her third cup of coffee, when the sensors picked up the signal. Now she stood before the large window that looked out into the black emptiness of space. "What do we have?" she asked. Her voice was calm, but her heart was beating fast. Lieutenant Minyu rushed to her side. He was young, maybe 25 years old, with nervous hands that never stopped moving. "Multiple ships, Commander. 17. No, 19 vessels. They just appeared at the edge of our sensor range." Narrowed her eyes. Earth's border station was far from home, sitting at the very edge of human space. They rarely saw visitors. When ships did come, they were usually traders or lost travelers. But 19 ships at once, that was something different. "Show me," she said. Minyu pressed several buttons on his console. The main screen flickered to life, showing a group of ships floating in the darkness. His breath caught in her throat. The vessels were in terrible condition. Some had holes in their sides. Others were leaking smoke and gas into space. They moved slowly, like wounded animals crawling toward safety. "They are not attacking," Minyu said. "No weapons active. In fact, I'm not sure most of those ships can even fire anymore." Studied the image carefully. She had been a commander for 15 years. She had seen pirates, smugglers, and hostile aliens. She knew danger when she saw it, but this was not danger. This was something else entirely. "Are they sending any message?" she asked. "Yes, Commander. Audio only, very weak signal." "Play it." The speakers crackled with static. Then a voice came through. It was deep and rough, like rocks scraping together. The words were in the common galactic language that all species used for communication. "Please, we mean no harm. We have nowhere else to go. Our fuel is gone. Our food is gone. Our medicine is gone. We have children aboard. Please. If you have any mercy, let us rest, just for a little while. We will leave when we can. We promise we will not cause trouble." The message ended. The command center was silent. Everyone looked at. She knew what the rules said. Unknown vessels were supposed to be held at the border. She was supposed to contact Earth's government and wait for orders. The process could take days, sometimes weeks. Looking at those broken ships, was not sure they had days. "Minyu, what do we know about this?" she asked. The young lieutenant typed quickly on his console. "Not much, Commander. They are a reptilian species, cold-blooded. They come from a planet called Prime in the outer regions. According to galactic records, they were." "Oh. What is it?" Minyu looked up from his screen. His face had gone pale. "They were expelled from the Galactic Council 12 years ago. They are listed as exiles, outcasts. The records say they carry a genetic mutation that makes them. The word used is unclean. Other species are forbidden from helping them." Felt cold, forbidden. "Yes, Commander. Any species that gives aid to them can face punishment from the Council, trade restrictions, political isolation, in some cases military action." The command center grew very quiet. Could hear the hum of the machines around her. She could feel the eyes of her crew on her back. They were waiting for her to make a decision. She thought about the rules. She thought about the consequences. She thought about trade agreements and political relationships and all the complicated things that humans had built with other species over the past century. Then she thought about the voice on the radio. The tired, desperate voice asking for mercy, asking for rest, mentioning children. "Open a channel," said. "Commander," Minyu's eyes were wide. "You heard me. Open a channel to those ships." Minyu hesitated for only a second, then he pressed the button. "Channel open, Commander." Stepped forward. She spoke clearly and slowly, making sure every word was understood. "This is Commander of Earth Border Station 7. Vessels, we have received your message. You are cleared to enter human space. Proceed to docking area 3. We will have medical teams and food waiting for you." She paused, then she added, "You are safe now." The static crackled. For a long moment there was no response. Wondered if the message had gotten through. Then the rough voice returned, and this time it was shaking. You are letting us in. You know what we are. You know what the council says about us." "I know," replied. "And I do not care what the council says. You need help. We are going to help you." There was silence again. When the voice came back, it was thick with emotion. Thank you, we did not think anyone would. Thank you." The channel closed, turned to face her crew. Some of them looked scared, others looked confused, but a few of them were smiling. "You contact doctor, tell her to prepare the medical bay. I want every bed ready. Also, contact the kitchen. Tell them to prepare as much food as they can." She paused, thinking. "They are reptilian. They probably need different things than we do. See if we have any information about their diet." "Yes, Commander." Minyu rushed off to make the calls. An older officer named stepped forward. He had gray hair and a serious face. He had been working on the station longer than anyone else. "Commander, I need to say something." "Go ahead." "You know this will cause problems. When Earth's government finds out, when the Council finds out, there will be consequences." Nodded, "I know. You could lose your position. You could face charges." "I know that too." Was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled, a rare thing for him. "Good. I just wanted to make sure you understood. Now, what do you need me to do?" Felt warmth spread through her chest. "Help Minyu coordinate the docking. Those ships are damaged. We need to bring them in carefully." "Understood." Walked away, already calling out orders to the other officers. The next few hours were chaos. The ships limped into the station one by one. Each vessel was in worse condition than the last. Engineers rushed to stabilize damaged engines before they exploded. Technicians worked to seal leaking hulls. It was dangerous work, but no one complained. Stood at the main docking bay, watching the first ship connect to the station. The airlock hissed and slowly opened. She had seen pictures of in the computer files, but pictures did not prepare her for the real thing. They were tall, almost 2 meters high. Their skin was covered in scales that ranged from dark green to pale blue. Their eyes were large and yellow, with narrow black pupils. They had long tails that dragged behind them as they walked. Their hands had 4 fingers, each ending in a short claw. The first to step through the airlock stopped when he saw. He was old, his scales faded to a dull gray. He leaned on a younger for support. Behind them, more were crowding the corridor of their ship. Could see their eyes shining in the dim light. They looked terrified. "I am," the old one said. "I speak for my people. Are you the one who answered our call?" "I am, Commander. Welcome to our station." Stared at her. His yellow eyes moved over her face, studying her like she was a puzzle he could not solve. "You are human. We have heard of your kind, young species, new to the galaxy." He paused. "Why did you let us in? Do you not know what we are?" "I know you are people who need help," said simply. The old made a strange sound. It took a moment to realize he was laughing, but there was no humor in it, only sadness. "People," repeated. "It has been a long time since anyone called us that. The Council calls us diseased, corrupted, dangerous." He held up his hand, showing his scales. "They say our mutation makes us wrong, makes us a threat to other species. They cast us out and told everyone to fear us." "What is this mutation?" asked. Lowered his hand. "Nothing. It is nothing. A small change in our blood. It does not spread. It does not harm anyone. But the Council feared what they did not understand, so they made us into monsters." Doctor appeared at side. She was a small woman with kind eyes and steady hands. "Commander, we are ready to receive patients. I have set up warming stations since their files say they need heat to stay healthy." Nodded and turned back to, "Please, bring your people inside. We have food and medicine and warm places to rest. You can tell me more about your story later. Right now, just focus on taking care of your families." Did not move. He stood there staring at with those strange yellow eyes. Then slowly tears began to fall from them. They were thick and clear like drops of honey. 12 years, he whispered. For 12 years we have drifted from place to place. Every world turned us away, every species refused us. Some attacked us on sight, we lost so many ships, so many people. His voice broke. And now, a species we have never met. One of the youngest in the galaxy, you open your doors to us. Why? Thought about the question. She thought about all the logical answers she could give. Political strategy, scientific curiosity, human reputation, but none of those felt true. "Because it is the right thing to do," she said finally. "That is all. It is simply the right thing to do." Closed his eyes. More tears fell. Behind him the other were watching. Some of them were crying too. Young ones, old ones, males and females, all of them weeping at the simple words of a small human woman. "Then perhaps," said softly, "the galaxy was wrong about humans too. They said your species was weak, foolish, too emotional to survive among the stars." He opened his eyes and looked at with something she had never seen in an alien's face before. Gratitude. "But I think," the old continued, "that your emotions are your greatest strength. You feel for others, you help those in need, you see the pain of strangers and call it your own." He reached out and gently touched his shoulder. His scales were rough but warm. "Thank you, Commander. Thank you for seeing us as people." Placed her hand over his. "Come," she said, "let me show you to your new home." And as they began to pour into the station, tired and scared and hopeful, knew that she had made the right choice. Whatever came next, whatever punishment the council decided to send, she would face it with her head held high. Because some things mattered more than rules. Some things mattered more than politics. Sometimes you just had to do the right thing. 3 days had passed since they arrived at the station. Captain stood at the entrance of the main shelter area, watching the scene before him with quiet amazement. The large cargo bay had been transformed. What was once a cold storage space for supplies was now filled with beds, blankets, and heating lamps. Everywhere he looked, he saw families settling into their new temporary home. Children played between the beds, their tails swinging behind them as they ran. Adults sat together in small groups, talking in low voices. The air was warm, almost too warm for humans but perfect for the cold-blooded refugees. "Captain," a voice pulled him from his thoughts. He turned to see a young standing behind him. She was smaller than most of the adults, with bright blue scales and curious eyes. She looked at him the way one might look at a strange new animal in a zoo. "Yes, that is me," said, smiling. "What is your name?" The young replied, "You are one of the humans who brought us food yesterday." Nodded. He had been part of the team that distributed the first meals to the refugees. It had been a challenge. They could not eat most human food. Their bodies needed different nutrients. But the station's cooks had worked through the night, studying dietary information and creating meals that were safe for them. "Did you enjoy the food?" asked. His eyes lit up. "It was wonderful. We have not had fresh food in many weeks, only dried rations. The hot soup was. I do not have words for how good it was." Felt his heart swell. Such a simple thing, a bowl of soup, yet it meant so much to this child. "I am glad you liked it. If you need anything else, you can always ask me or any other human here. We want to help." Tilted her head, a gesture that reminded of a curious bird. "Why?" she asked. "Why what? Why do you want to help us? Other species run from us. They call us bad names. They say we will make them sick, even though that is not true." His voice grew quiet. "My mother says humans are strange. She says she does not understand why you are being kind." Knelt down so he was at eye level with the young. He thought about how to explain something that seemed so simple to him, yet was clearly so confusing to her. "Where I come from, we have a saying. We say that a person's worth is not decided by what others think of them. It is decided by who they truly are." He paused, making sure she was following. The galaxy may call your people outcasts, but when we look at you, we do not see outcasts. We see families. We see children like you. We see people who have suffered and deserve kindness." Was silent for a moment, then she asked, "Have humans always been this way?" Let out a small laugh. "No, not always. Our history is full of mistakes. We have hurt each other many times. We have turned away those who needed help, but we are trying to be better. Every day we try to learn from our past and do the right thing." The young seemed to think about this. Then she smiled, showing rows of small, pointed teeth. "I like humans," she declared. "You are strange, but I like you." Before could respond, she turned and ran back to her family, her tail swinging happily behind her. He watched her go, a warm feeling spreading through his chest. "You are good with children." Stood and turned to see approaching. The old leader moved slowly, his body still weak from the long journey, but his eyes were sharp and aware. "I have a daughter back on Earth," said. "She is about the same age as, being around children feels natural to me." Nodded slowly. "I noticed that about your people. You care greatly for your young ones, even the young ones of other species." He paused, studying his face. "In the council races, children are often seen as resources, tools to build the future, but humans seem to see them as treasures." "They are treasures," said simply. "Every child is precious, every life matters." The old made a sound that might have been a sigh. "Your species amazes me, Captain. When we first saw your station, my people were afraid. We expected to be turned away, or worse, captured and sold to someone willing to pay for our bodies." His voice grew heavy with old pain. "It has happened before. Some species see us as animals, things to be used." Felt anger rise in his chest. "That is terrible." "It is reality," said flatly. "When you are an outcast, you have no protection, no rights. Anyone can do anything to you and the council will look the other way." He lifted his gaze to Meet's eyes. "But your people, your commander," she did not hesitate. She heard our cry for help and she answered it without conditions, without demands. She simply opened the door and welcomed us in. "That is what we should do," said. "That is what anyone should do." Shook his head. "No, Captain, that is not what anyone does, that is what humans do. I have lived for over 200 of your years. I have seen many species. I have learned that kindness is rare in this galaxy. Most beings care only for themselves and their own kind." He placed a scaled hand on shoulder. "But your people are different. You see a stranger in pain and you feel that pain as if it were your own. That is a rare gift." Did not know what to say. He had never thought of basic kindness as something special. To him, it was just the right thing to do. But seeing the wonder and gratitude in his eyes made him realize how lucky humans were. They had grown up on a world that taught them to care for others. Not every species had that advantage. "Come," said, removing his hand. "There is something I want to show you." The old led through the shelter area, past families and children and groups of adults talking quietly. They stopped at a corner where several young were gathered around a human. Recognized her immediately. It was Doctor from the medical team. She was sitting on a crate, surrounded by children who listened to her with wide eyes. She was telling them a story, using her hands to make shapes in the air. "And then," said, her voice dramatic, "the brave princess climbed to the top of the mountain. The dragon was sleeping, its scales shining like gold in the sunlight. But the princess was not afraid. She walked right up to the dragon and said." She paused, looking at her audience. The children leaned forward, eager to hear what came next. She said, "Hello, Mr. Dragon. Would you like to be friends?" The children made sounds of surprise. One of them spoke up. She wanted to be friends with the dragon. Was she not scared? Smiled. She was a little scared, but she knew that sometimes things that look scary are actually just lonely. The dragon had been alone on that mountain for a very long time. No one ever talked to him. Everyone just ran away. "That sounds like us," another child said quietly. Smile softened. She reached out and gently patted the child's head, careful not to press too hard on the scales. The dragon and the princess became best friends. They taught each other many things. The dragon learned that small creatures could be brave and kind, and the princess learned that big, scary-looking creatures could be gentle and wise. Watched the scene with a full heart. Was surrounded by children who, just days ago, had known nothing but fear and rejection. Now they were listening to stories, laughing, smiling. Such a small thing, but so important. Stood beside him, also watching. Your doctor comes here every evening. She tells stories, plays games, makes the children laugh. She does not have to do this. It is not part of her medical duties, but she does it anyway. That is just who she is, said. Has always loved children. She says their joy gives her strength. The old was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was thick with emotion. Captain, I must confess something to you. What is it? When we first came here, I was waiting for the trap. I was sure that your kindness was a trick, that at any moment your people would reveal their true intentions, that you would demand something from us or betray us to the council. Eyes were wet with tears. I have been hurt so many times, betrayed so many times. I did not believe that true kindness still existed in this galaxy. Said nothing, he simply listened. But now, continued, I see your people caring for our children. I see your doctors healing our sick without asking for payment. I see your cooks making special food for us without complaint. I see your commander standing up for us even though it puts her at risk. The tears fell freely now. You have proven me wrong, Captain, and I am so grateful to be wrong. Reached out and took the old's hand. The scales were rough against his palm, but warm. I cannot promise that all humans are good. We have bad people too. But I can promise you this. The people on this station genuinely want to help you. There is no trick. There is no trap. We are just trying to do what is right. Squeezed his hand. I believe you, Captain. For the first time in 12 years, I believe. They stood together in silence, watching as finished her story. The children clapped their small hands, their faces bright with happiness. Some of them hugged her before running off to tell their parents about the princess and the dragon. Later that evening, found himself in the station's main meeting room. Commander had called a gathering of all senior staff. When everyone was seated, she stood at the front and addressed them. I have received a message from the Galactic Council, she said. Her voice was steady, but could see the tension in her shoulders. They know about They are demanding that we surrender the refugees immediately. Murmurs spread through the room, felt his stomach tighten. What happens if we refuse? Asked the senior officer. His jaw tightened. They have threatened trade sanctions, diplomatic isolation, and if we continue to refuse, she paused, military action. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. The Galactic Council controlled vast fleets. Earth's military was young and small. A direct conflict could be devastating. What are we going to do? Someone asked. Looked around the room, meeting the eyes of each person present. I am going to tell you what I told the Council. I told them that Earth does not abandon those who ask for our protection. I told them that we will not send innocent people to their deaths just because someone else decided they were unworthy of life. She straightened her back. I have already contacted Earth's government. Ambassador is preparing to address the Council in person. Whatever happens next, it will be decided at the highest levels. Stood up. Commander, whatever happens, you have my full support. I did not join the space service to turn away children and families in need. Others stood up too. Minu and many more. One by one, every person in the room rose to their feet. We are with you, Commander said, until the end. His eyes shone with pride and gratitude. Thank you, she said softly. Thank you all. Now let us show the galaxy what humanity truly stands for. As the meeting ended and people filed out, felt something he had not felt in a long time. It was the feeling of being part of something bigger than himself, something important. The galaxy might cast them out, but humanity would give them refuge, no matter the cost. because some things were worth fighting for. 6 weeks had passed since they arrived at the station. In that time, everything had changed. Doctor walked through the medical bay, checking on her patients one by one. The room was warm, heated to a temperature that made humans sweat but kept the cold-blooded comfortable. She did not mind the heat anymore. She had grown used to it. "How are you feeling today, little one?" she asked, kneeling beside a small bed. On the bed lay a young boy named. He was only 5 years old, small even by standards. When he first arrived at the station, he had been terribly sick. His scales were dull and falling off. His breathing was weak. Had spent 3 nights by his side, fighting to keep him alive. Now smiled up at her. His scales had regained their bright green color. His eyes were clear and full of life. "I feel strong, doctor. Can I go play with the others today?" Pretended to think about it seriously, tapping her chin with her finger. "Well, let me see. You need to drink all your medicine. You need to eat all your food. And you need to promise to rest if you get tired." Nodded eagerly. "I promise I will do everything." Laughed and ruffled the small scales on his head. "Then yes, you can play, but only for a little while. You are still getting better." The boy jumped out of bed with more energy than a sick child should have. He ran toward the door, then stopped and turned back. "Doctor." "Yes." "My mother says you saved my life. She says I would have died without you." His young face was serious. "Thank you for not letting me die." Felt tears prick her eyes. She blinked them away quickly. "You are very welcome. Now go play before I change my mind." The boy grinned and ran out of the room. Watched him go, her heart full of a strange mix of joy and sadness. Joy because he was alive and healthy. Sadness because she knew how close he had come to dying. How many other children had not been as lucky. "You care too much." Turned to see her assistant, a human nurse named, standing behind her. Was young, fresh out of medical school, with sharp eyes and quick hands. "Is that possible?" asked, "to care too much?" Shrugged. "I do not know, but I see how tired you are. You have not slept properly in weeks. You skip meals. You spend every free moment with the patients." She paused. "Doctor, you cannot save everyone if you destroy yourself in the process." Sighed. She knew was right. But how could she rest when there was so much work to do? They had arrived sick, starving, and broken. 12 years of running had damaged their bodies and their spirits. Every day discovered new problems. Old injuries that had never healed properly. Diseases that had gone untreated for too long. Malnutrition that had weakened bones and muscles. "I will rest when they are healthy," said. "They will never be completely healthy if you collapse from exhaustion," replied. "Please, doctor, take care of yourself too." Before could respond, the door opened and Commander walked in. She looked as tired as felt. The past 6 weeks had been hard on everyone, but especially on the Commander. She had been dealing with the political storm that followed their decision to shelter the doctor said, "I need your report on the refugees' health status. Ambassador is leaving for the council meeting tomorrow. He wants to have all the facts." Nodded and led to her office. They sat down and pulled out her files. "In total, we have 412 refugees. When they arrived, over half of them were suffering from some form of illness or injury. Malnutrition was common. Many had infections that had gone untreated." Flipped through her notes. "After 6 weeks of care, we have made significant progress. The death rate has dropped to 0. Most patients are recovering well. We have only 12 in critical condition now, down from over 50 when they first arrived." Absorbed the information. "And the children?" "The children are doing surprisingly well. They are young and strong. Once we got food and medicine into them, they bounced back quickly." Smiled slightly. "They are also learning human languages at an amazing speed. Some of them can already speak basic sentences in Korean and English." Allowed herself a small smile. "I noticed. One of the little ones said 'good morning' to me yesterday. It was one of the best moments I have had in weeks." "They are quick learners," said. "They are intelligent people. Given proper resources and support, they could achieve great things. The commander was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, "In your medical opinion, is there any truth to the Council's claims about the being dangerous, about their mutation being a threat?" Shook her head firmly. "None. I have studied their biology extensively. The mutation they carry is a minor change in their blood chemistry. It does not spread to other species. It does not cause any harmful effects. It is, frankly, no more significant than the difference between human blood types." "Then why did the Council exile them?" His expression darkened. "Fear, Commander, pure and simple fear. The mutation appeared suddenly about 50 years ago. The Council did not understand it. They could not predict it or control it. So instead of studying it, they chose to eliminate the source. They decided they were a threat and cast them out." His hands curled into fists on the desk. "For nothing. They destroyed an entire civilization for nothing." "That is the truth Ambassador needs to present to the Council," said. "They are not monsters. They are not dangerous. They are victims of fear and ignorance." The commander stood up. "Thank you, Doctor. Your report will be very helpful." She paused at the door. "And is right, by the way, you need to rest. That is an order." Managed a tired laugh. "Yes, Commander." After left, finished her work and finally went to get some sleep. But rest did not come easily. Her mind kept turning over the same thoughts. The Council, the uncertain future. The next morning, the whole station gathered to see Ambassador off. He was a tall man with gray hair and a calm face. He had been a diplomat for 30 years, skilled at navigating the complex politics of the galaxy. If anyone could convince the Council to change their minds, it was him. "I cannot promise success," said, addressing the crowd. "The Council is old and set in its ways. They do not like being challenged, but I will fight for you, for all of you." He looked at the gathered among the humans. "What happened to your people was wrong. It is time someone stood up and said so." Stepped forward. The old leader looked healthier than before. Regular food and rest had restored some of his strength. "Ambassador, we do not know how to thank you. You are risking much for people you have only known for a few weeks." Smiled. "I have read about your people. I know your history. They were once great scientists and artists. You built beautiful cities. You created music that moved the heart. You developed medicines that saved millions of lives." His smile faded. "And then the Council took everything from you. Not because you did anything wrong, but because they were afraid of something they did not understand." He placed a hand on shoulder. "That ends now. Whether the Council agrees or not, humanity will stand with you. You have my word." The ship departed an hour later, waved from the window as the vessel pulled away from the station and disappeared into the darkness of space. Everyone watched until the lights were gone. Then, slowly, they returned to their work. The days that followed were tense. Everyone waited for news from the Council meeting, stayed close to the communication center, ready to receive any message. They grew quiet, their eyes often turned toward the stars, waiting. It was Minu who finally received the first transmission. He burst into the command center where was reviewing reports, his face pale with shock. "Commander, a message from the Council. They are sending a fleet." Felt ice spread through her veins. "A fleet? For what purpose?" "They say," Minu swallowed hard, "they say if we do not surrender within 7 days, they will take them by force." The room fell silent, stood frozen, the words echoing in her mind. A fleet, military action. They were really going to attack Earth Station to take back a group of refugees. Spoke first. "Commander, what do? We cannot fight a Council fleet. We would be destroyed in minutes." Did not answer immediately. She walked to the large window that looked out into space. Somewhere out there, ships were gathering. Weapons were being prepared. Soldiers were training for an assault. All because humanity had the courage to show kindness to strangers. "We will not fight," she said finally. "We will not start a war over this." "Then we surrender someone asked. Turned around. Her eyes were blazing. "No, we will never surrender them, but we will not fire the first shot either." She looked at her crew, her family. "If the Council wants a war, they will have to be the ones to start it. Let the whole galaxy see them attack a peaceful station filled with families and children. Let them show their true nature to everyone." "And if they do attack?" asked quietly. Took a deep breath. "Then we do what humans have always done when faced with impossible odds. We stand our ground. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. And we hope that our example inspires others to do the same." She turned back to the window, looking at the stars. Somewhere out there, Ambassador was still fighting. Somewhere out there, a fleet was preparing for war. And somewhere out there, hopefully, there were others who believed that kindness was worth more than fear. The next 7 days would decide everything. But whatever happened, knew one thing for certain. Humanity would not abandon not now, not ever. Some things were worth more than survival. Some things were worth dying for. And protecting innocent lives was one of them. The Galactic Council chamber was the largest room Ambassador had ever seen. It stretched out in every direction, filled with floating platforms where representatives from hundreds of species sat watching him. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into darkness. The floor was made of some kind of crystal that reflected the lights above like a frozen lake. Stood alone in the center of the room, on a small platform that faced the main stage. On that stage sat the 5 leaders of the Council, the most powerful beings in the known galaxy. They looked down at him with cold, ancient eyes. The head of the Council was a massive creature called It had a body like a mountain of gray flesh, with dozens of arms and a face full of unblinking eyes. When it spoke, its voice boomed like thunder. "Ambassador of Earth, you have requested an audience to discuss the matter of the refugees. The Council has granted your request. You may speak." Took a deep breath. He had prepared for this moment for days. He had practiced his speech 100 times. But now, standing in this enormous room with the weight of the galaxy watching him, all his preparations felt small and weak. Still, he had a job to do. People were counting on him. "Thank you, Council leaders," he began. His voice echoed through the chamber. "I come before you today to speak about truth, about justice, and about a terrible wrong that has been done to an innocent people." They made a sound that might have been impatience. "We know why you are here, Ambassador. Your species has taken despite our warnings. You have given sanctuary to exiles. This is a violation of Council law." "With respect, Council leader, I do not believe it is." Reached into his coat and pulled out a small device. He pressed a button, and a holographic image appeared in the air above him. It showed data, charts, medical records. "I have here the complete medical analysis of the mutation. This analysis was performed by Dr., one of the finest physicians in human space. It shows without any doubt that the mutation is harmless." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some of the representatives leaned forward to see the data more clearly. "The mutation does not spread between species," continued. "It does not cause disease. It does not affect reproduction. It is simply a minor variation in blood chemistry, no more dangerous than the natural differences that exist within any species." He paused, letting his words sink in. "The Council exiled the based on fear, not facts. And now, 12 years later, we have the proof." This many eyes narrowed. "You claim our scientists were wrong." "I claim that fear clouded their judgment. The mutation appeared suddenly and unexpectedly. Your scientists could not explain it. In that uncertainty, they chose to assume the worst. They recommended exile as a precaution." His voice grew harder. "But 12 years have passed, 12 years of suffering, 12 years of watching innocent people die. And in all that time they have never infected anyone because they cannot. They were never a threat." Another Council member spoke up. This one was a thin, insect-like being with wings that glittered in the light. "Even if what you say is true, Ambassador, the law is clear. They were declared outcasts. Anyone who helps them faces punishment. Your species knew this when you took them in." Yes, we knew, agreed. And we did it anyway, because we believe there are some things more important than law, more important than politics. He turned slowly, looking at all the representatives around him. I ask each of you to look at yourself, to remember why you joined the council in the first place. Was it not to protect the innocent, to promote peace and understanding between species? The chamber was silent. They are innocent people, continued. They are farmers and artists, teachers and healers. They have children who dream of the future. They have elders who carry the wisdom of generations. They are not monsters. They are not threats. They are simply people who were born different. He turned back to face the council leaders. We humans know something about this. Our own history is filled with examples of people being persecuted for being different, for their skin color, for their beliefs, for who they loved. Every time the persecutors believed they were right, they believed they were protecting society, and every time history proved them wrong. The shifted its massive body. You compare us to your historical villains, ambassador. I ask you not to become the villains of this story, replied. You have a choice. You can continue down the path of fear and cruelty. You can send your fleet to attack a peaceful station filled with refugees. You can prove to the galaxy that the Council cares more about its laws than about justice. He paused. Or you can choose a different path. You can admit that a mistake was made. You can welcome them back as members of galactic society. You can show that the Council is capable of growth and change. The insect representative made a clicking sound. And if we choose the first option, if we send our fleet? Stood up, his face was calm, but his eyes burned with determination. Then humanity will stand in your way. We are a young species, our ships are few, our weapons are weak compared to yours. You would probably destroy us easily. He smiled grimly. But we would make you pay a price, and the rest of the galaxy would see it. They would see the mighty council attacking a station full of children and families. They would see humanity dying to protect innocent strangers, and they would remember. The chamber was completely silent now. Even the council leaders seemed taken aback by his words. You would sacrifice your species for they asked, people you have known for only a few weeks. Yes, said simply, because that is who we are. We cannot stand by and watch innocent people be destroyed. It is not in our nature. We feel the pain of strangers as if it were our own. We see the suffering of others and we must act. He shook his head. You may think this is a weakness, perhaps it is, but it is also our greatest strength. A new voice spoke up. It came from a platform high above the main floor. Looked up and saw a being he did not recognize. It was tall and thin, with silver skin that seemed to glow from within. Its eyes were deep and thoughtful. I am representative of the people, the being said. I have listened to the human ambassador with great interest. And I must say, he speaks truths that many of us have been too afraid to voice. The turned its many eyes toward the new speaker. You disagree with the council's position, representative. I disagree with fear, replied. I was young when they were exiled. I remember the debates. I remember how quickly everyone agreed that they must go. No one wanted to speak up for them. No one wanted to risk being associated with outcasts. The silver being's voice grew heavy. I was a coward then. I stayed silent when I should have spoken. That silence has haunted me for 12 years. Other voices began to rise from around the chamber. One by one, representatives from different species stood up and spoke. The people support the human position. They have always questioned the exile. We add our voice to this debate. They believe in second chances. We stand with Earth. Watched in amazement as the chamber came alive with discussion and debate. Species that had been silent for years were now speaking out. Old alliances were forming. New ideas were spreading. They raised its many arms, calling for silence. The chamber slowly quieted. It seems, the council leader said slowly, that the human ambassador has stirred something in our assembly. There are those who wish to reconsider the exile. There are those who question our decision to send a fleet. Its many eyes focused on. You have spoken well, ambassador, but words alone cannot change what has been done. Nodded. I understand, but words can be the beginning of change. I ask only that you pause your military action. Give us time to present more evidence. Let the galaxy debate this question openly. If, after all arguments have been heard, the Council still believes the must remain exiles, then so be it. At least we will know that justice was given a chance. The Council leaders conferred among themselves in low voices. The chamber waited in tense silence. Finally, they spoke again. The Council will consider your request. We will delay the fleet for 30 days. In that time, a formal hearing will be held to examine the evidence regarding the mutation. Representatives from all member species may participate in this hearing. Felt relief wash over him. 30 days. It was not a victory, but it was a chance. A chance to save a chance to change the galaxy. Thank you, Council leaders. Humanity is grateful for this opportunity. They made a gesture that might have been dismissal. Do not thank us yet, Ambassador. The hearing may not go as you hope, and if it does not, the fleet will launch. Its many eyes gleamed in the chamber lights. But I will say this. Your species is young, but you have courage. That is a rare thing in this galaxy. We will be watching to see what you do with it. As left the chamber, his heart was beating fast. He had bought time, only time. The fight was far from over. But as he walked through the corridors of the Council station, he noticed something he had not expected. Representatives from other species were nodding to him as he passed. Some even smiled. A few reached out to shake his hand. Good speech, Ambassador. They deserve better than exile. Humanity has earned respect today. Walked on, his hope growing with each step. Maybe the galaxy was not as cold as it seemed. Maybe there were more beings who believed in justice than fear. Maybe, just maybe, they would find their place among the stars again. He had to get back to the station. He had to tell and the others the news. He had to help prepare for the hearing that would decide everything. The fight was not over, but for the first time since this all began, believed they could win. Because humanity had shown the galaxy something important. They had shown that compassion was not weakness. They had shown that standing up for strangers was not foolish. They had shown that some things were worth risking everything for. And maybe, just maybe, that lesson was starting to spread. 6 months had passed since the hearing. 6 months since the galaxy changed forever. The sun was warm on the colony of New Haven. It was a small world, given to Earth by the Council as part of the historic agreement. The agreement that finally ended the exile. The agreement that would be remembered for generations. Walked through the streets of the new city, marveling at how much had been built in such a short time. Houses made of local stone stood next to buildings made of human steel. Gardens bloomed with strange alien flowers next to familiar Earth vegetables. Children played beside human children, their different languages mixing into something new and beautiful. It still does not feel real, she said quietly. Beside her nodded slowly. The old leader looked 10 years younger than he had when they first met. His scales had regained their color. His eyes were bright. He walked without help now, his back straight and proud. I know what you mean, he replied. Some mornings I wake up expecting to find myself back on those broken ships, drifting, hiding, waiting for death. He looked around at the busy streets. Then I see all of this and I remember, we are home, we finally have a home. The hearing had been brutal. 3 weeks of arguments, evidence, and debates. Scientists from dozens of species had examined the medical data. Politicians had questioned every detail. Some council members had fought hard to keep the exile in place. But in the end, truth won. The evidence was too clear to ignore. The mutation was harmless. It had always been harmless. The exile had been based on fear, not facts. The vote to end the exile passed with a strong majority, and as news spread across the galaxy, something amazing happened. Other species began reaching out to the old friends who had been too afraid to help before now offered their support. Trade agreements were signed. Alliances were formed. They They were no longer outcasts. They were members of galactic society again. But it was humanity that they loved most, because it was humanity that had taken the first step. That had opened the door when everyone else kept it closed. "Commander," a young voice called out. Turned to see running toward her. The young had grown so much in the past months. She was taller now, her scales a bright and healthy blue. She spoke perfect Korean, learned from hours of practice with human friends. "Slow down," laughed. "What is wrong?" "Nothing is wrong," the girl said happily. "I just wanted to show you something. Come, come." She grabbed his hand and pulled her through the streets, past markets and workshops and gathering places. Followed at a slower pace, a smile on his old face. Led them to a large building at the center of the city. It was the new school, built by humans and working together. Inside, the halls were filled with the sounds of learning and laughter. "Look," said, pointing through a window. Looked inside and saw a classroom full of students. Half were human. They sat together at desks, working on some kind of project. At the front of the room, Doctor was teaching a lesson about biology, using a holographic display to show the differences and similarities between human and bodies. "We are learning about each other," explained. "How our bodies work, how our minds think. Doctor says understanding is the first step to friendship." Felt warmth spread through her chest. This was what they had fought for, not just survival but something better, a future where species learned from each other instead of fearing each other. "It is beautiful," she said softly. Arrived at her side, he also looked through the window, watching the young ones learn together. 12 years ago, I thought my people were finished. I thought we would drift through space until the last of us died. I had no hope left." He turned to, his yellow eyes shining with gratitude. "Then you answered our call. A human I had never met from a species I knew nothing about. You took a terrible risk. You faced the anger of the council. You stood up for people who had nothing to offer you in return. You offered us plenty," said. "You offered us a chance to do the right thing. That is the greatest gift anyone can give." The old made a sound that was half laugh, half cry. "This is why my people love you, Commander. This is why we will never forget what humanity did for us." He reached out and took her hand, his scales warm against her skin. "You saw us when we were at our lowest, broken, hopeless, cast out, and you said, 'You are welcome here.' Those words saved us, not just our bodies but our souls." Squeezed his hand. "And you saved us too. You showed us that our values matter, that being kind is not weak, that standing up for what is right makes a difference." She smiled. "We are better because we met you." Later that day, there was a celebration in the central square. It marked the official founding of New Haven as a joint human colony. People of both species gathered to share food, music, and stories. Captain stood near the food tables, laughing as a group of children tried to teach him one of their traditional dances. His movements were clumsy, but the children did not mind. They cheered every time he got a step right. Doctor sat with a group of elders, discussing medicine and healing practices. She had learned so much from them in the past months. They had ancient knowledge about treatments and remedies that humans had never discovered. In return, she shared human medical advances that could help their people. Ambassador was giving a speech on a small stage, talking about the treaty and what it meant for the future. Behind him stood representatives from a dozen species who had come to witness this historic moment. And in the corner of the square, sitting quietly on a bench, they watched the celebration in peaceful silence. "I want to tell you a story," said after a while. "It is an old tale from before the exile, before the galaxy knew our name." Nodded, "I would like to hear it." Closed his eyes, remembering. Long ago there was a small creature who lived in a dark forest. This creature was different from all the others. Its fur was the wrong color. Its eyes were the wrong shape. The other animals feared it and drove it away. He opened his eyes and looked up at the sky. The creature wandered for many years, alone and afraid. It could not find a home. Every forest it came to, the animals would chase it out. It began to lose hope. It thought it would wander forever. Listened quietly, feeling the weight of the words. One day, continued, the creature came to a new forest. The animals there looked at it with curiosity, not fear. They asked, "Why are you different?" The creature expected to be chased away again. But instead, the animals said, "Different is interesting. Different means we can learn from you. Come, stay with us. This can be your home." Tears began to fall from the old's eyes. The creature lived in that forest for the rest of its life. It was never alone again, and from that day on it taught its children a very important lesson. He looked at, "Do you know what that lesson was?" Shook her head. Smiled through his tears. "That kindness is the greatest power in all the universe, stronger than weapons, stronger than fear, stronger than hate." He reached out and gently touched his face. "Your people have that power, Commander. You have shown it to the entire galaxy, and because of you we are free." His own eyes were wet now. She did not try to hide the tears. She let them fall, mixing with the joy and relief of everything they had been through. "We did it together," she said, "all of us." The celebration continued late into the night. Music played. People danced. Friendships were made that would last for generations. And high above them the stars shone bright, watching over the new world that had been born from compassion. In the years that followed, New Haven grew into a thriving colony. Humans and built a society together, combining the best of both cultures. They developed new technologies, new art forms, new ways of thinking. Other species came to visit, curious about this strange experiment. Many stayed, adding their own gifts to the growing community. And word spread across the galaxy. The story of how humanity took in the exiles. How a young species, new to the stars, stood up to the council and won. How kindness proved stronger than fear. Other outcasts began to seek Earth's protection. Other suffering peoples began to hope, because they had heard the story of the. They knew that somewhere in the darkness, there was a species who would see their pain and answer their call. Humanity had become something new in the galaxy, not the strongest species, not the most advanced, but something more important. They had become a refuge, a light in the darkness, a home for all who had none. And that, in the end, was the greatest power of all.